Okay, so I think we've all done it as cake decorators, had a few extra bucks, gone to the store and decided to load up on cake decorating gear. You get there and you look around and you're like, oh my God, there's so much stuff. Choice is wonderful, but it can make life very difficult. Well, this week I'm hoping to demystify some of those issues. I'm putting two products that perform the same function up against each other. To be more precise, we're going to compare oil-based food colors. The first brand we're trying is Creative Cake Decorating, and the brand it's going against is Colour Mill. Both Australian brands and both created to colour chocolate, ganache, buttercream, and anything oil-based.
Just a quick disclaimer, I'm not being sponsored by either of these brands. These are my own personal purchases and there is no bias involved.
So I'm going to call this segment
Battle of the Brands!
Let's do it. Okay, so the first colour we're going to run through its paces is the white. We have the Colour Mill white and the Creative Winter White Chocolate Oil. Now I'm starting with some whipped white chocolate ganache. Now I whipped this because I want to give these colours the best chance possible. And if you whip your ganache, it gets lighter. So I made this as light as I could possibly make it. We're going shake, 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 shake. Now into each bowl that now contains exactly half a cup of white chocolate ganache each, I'm going to put exactly 1/4 teaspoon of the colour into each batch. It needs to be a fair comparison. Shake, 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 shake. Okay, so the Colour Mill does say to shake well before use. And the Creative, because of the bottle it's in, actually says to stir well. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, 1/4 teaspoon in. Now let's see how they go. That's the Colour Mill. I'd say it got a little lighter, but nothing that's knocking my socks off. Now for Creative. That definitely whitened, and I would say in this case that Creative is the winner. Okay, while we were on the white, let's try it out in some Swiss meringue buttercream. I'm doing the same again, a 1/2 cup of Swiss meringue buttercream and a 1/4 teaspoon of white Colour Mill. 1/2 cup of Swiss meringue buttercream and a 1/4 teaspoon of Creative White. Now let's mix them up. The Colour Mill, I think it lightened it a little. Now let's try the Creative. Well, yes, it definitely whitened it. I would say, well, let's have a look at them on the spatula. Pretty even on this one. So for the white colour in Swiss meringue buttercream, it's a draw. Okay, now let's move on to the next colour. Okay, we've cleared up the white challenge. Now let's move on to one of the biggest challenges us decorators face, getting those elusive dark colours. The next colour we're going to give a spin is red. I have Colour Mill red and Creative Romance red. Once again, 1/2 cup each of whipped white chocolate ganache. Shake up the Colour Mill, of course. And a 1/4 teaspoon of the Colour Mill red into the white chocolate ganache. Now it's time for the Creative Romance red. Right off the bat, these two look pretty similar. All right, let's mix them up. Let's start with the Colour Mill. All right, so this does still look pretty pink to me, although we do know that darker colours do develop over time. So maybe with some time to sit, this will darken. Time for the creative. Okay, so we got the same sort of result with the creative. What was interesting was when I started mixing this, I did notice that I think it may be more of a blue-based red, whereas the colour mill seems to be more of an orange-based red, although they've both now ended up looking very similar. So, don't know if we've got a clear winner here. Let's have a look. I think they're pretty much the same. So for the red at this point, because we haven't had time for them to develop yet, I'm going to call it a draw. All right, let's give the red the same treatment with Swiss meringue buttercream. Time to mix. Colour mill first. Definitely pink again. Now on to creative. Okay, definitely still pink, but I think creative might have the upper hand with the Swiss meringue buttercream. Let's have a look. Creative's is definitely deeper. So for the red in Swiss meringue buttercream, the winner is creative. Right, let's try another colour. Now before we move on to the one that I know you all know is coming, I'm going to try out some pretty colours. Now I've decided just to use buttercream this time around. I won't do the double because this is more of a comparison of the actual colour in the bottle, because these two different pinks are exactly that. They're two very different pinks. So the Colour Mill Candy Pink in the bottle looks almost fluorescent pink. And the Creative Pretty in Pink looks very soft and sweet. So let's see how these colours fare in comparison to what they look like in the bottle. Once again, half a cup of Swiss meringue buttercream and 1/4 teaspoon of Colour Mill Candy Pink. Half a cup of Swiss meringue buttercream and 1/4 teaspoon of Pretty in Pink. Now let's mix them up. Okay, so that looks absolutely nothing like it does in the bottle, but that is a pretty pink. Now let's try the Creative. Okay, so once again, looks absolutely nothing like it does in the bottle, but once again, a very pretty pink. Probably more of a dusty pink, but you wouldn't expect it to be quite as bright as the other one, considering how they do look in the bottles. So this one, I think, is a win-win. So for the pink colour challenge, I'm calling this one a draw. All right, now it's time to test our last colour, the one I know you know is coming, and that is black. Let's try that now. Okay, we're on to the last colour, the game changer. It's time for black. Starting with white whipped chocolate ganache, I'm going to use the Colour Mill. 1/2 cup of white whipped chocolate ganache. Oh no, black explosion. Perhaps a better idea to let the actual container settle before you open it, after shaking it, because, yep. Let's try again. And now for the Creative. I'm noticing straight away that the Creative actually feels a lot thinner. So this should be interesting. 1/2 cup of white chocolate ganache, 1/4 teaspoon of Creative black food colour. You can probably see how much thinner that is yourself. All right, let's mix. Okay, well, I've got to say, I'm pretty impressed. That is still, of course, a very dark charcoal grey, but once again, with some colour development over time, I think that'd be a really great black. Well done, Colour Mill. Creative time. Once again, definitely a dark grey, but I think we have a clear winner here. Colour Mill is definitely darker. So the winner for black in chocolate ganache is Colour Mill. Now for the last test, let's try these colours in buttercream. Okie doke, last but certainly not least is trying the black in Swiss meringue buttercream. You can get the recipes for both my ganache and for my Swiss meringue buttercream on my website. I'll pop the link in the description below. Okay, so half a cup of my 4-8-16 Swiss meringue buttercream, and this time I've left the lid open. Quarter, if it'll come out, of a teaspoon of Colour Mill black. Half a cup 4-8-16 Swiss meringue buttercream and quarter of a teaspoon of creative black. Now let's mix. Once again, a very, very nice dark grey, which no doubt will develop over time. Now for the creative. Okay, so I think we ended up with pretty much the same result as we had with the white chocolate ganache. The creative is definitely a nice dark grey, but the Colour Mill's that little bit darker. So in this round, Colour Mill is the clear winner. Well, that was a little bit of fun and something a little bit different. Now I promise you, I did not rig any of this, but it turns out that Colour Mill ended up with a score of 5 and Creative ended up with a score of 5, making it a draw. My personal thoughts, I've always thought Colour Mill's bottles were far too small, however, they have just released a larger range, so that solves that issue. And my only qualm with Creative has always been the packaging. I know that it sort of has to be in that packaging because it's quite viscous and you do need to blend that colour quite a bit. However, it does make it a little bit difficult to get out of the container. Besides that, it's a beautiful product. Now let's talk price. I actually had to do math here and I don't do maths, okay? No, but I did for you guys because I love you. So I purchased the Colour Mill for $7.95 Australian per bottle, and in each Colour Mill bottle you get 20 ml of product. So that works out at 0.39 cents per ml. Now I had to do a little bit of extra work for the creative because the creative's actually measured in weight, not mil. So I purchased the creative for $9.95 Australian per bottle. You get 30 grams in each bottle, which equates to approximately 32 ml, making the creative 0.31 cents per ml. Barely any difference at all. So guys, I hope you're not even more confused now than what you were when we started this video. All in all, to wrap it up, I would say 2 great Australian products that do what it says on the label. The only thing it seems is that some colours are better for one brand than they are for the other, and vice versa. So I guess it depends on what colour you want. Well guys, thanks so much for joining me again this week. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, give it a like, it'll really help me. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you're informed every time I upload a new video. Now off to the cake decorating store you go so you can go and get your cake on. See you next time guys, bye bye.